Chapter 1562. Elvis and Leah didn't answer her. There was only the sound of soft, wet footsteps approaching her, step by step. Gu Mengmeng stood up abruptly, her eyes fixed on the entrance of the cave. Sure enough, a white figure appeared there. He had an evil and arrogant smile on his face, and he was holding a beating heart in one hand. "Ah, Gu, now, you finally belong to me alone." Gu Mengmeng glared at Cole, her eyes instantly filled with blood vessels. It was as if all the blood in her body had frozen, turning indescribably cold. Cole casually threw that heart at Gu Mengmeng's feet, then used his blood-stained hand to cover Gu Mengmeng's lower abdomen. He laughed sinisterly. "Now, I just need to kill this child, then you will have nothing left. The only person you can rely on is me. I will kill you." Gu Mengmeng suddenly raised her head and strangled Cole's neck. Cole didn't resist. He just looked at Gu Mengmeng with a cold smile. "Don't care about Qi Xian anymore. Are you going to kill Qi Xian with your own hands for two dead partners? You." The veins on Gu Mengmeng's forehead bulged. Her gums were bleeding from her clenched teeth. But Cole smiled calmly. "I'm not afraid to tell you that it's very easy to dissolve my relationship with Qi Xian. You just need to say you love me. But, can you say it?" Gu Mengmeng gritted her teeth and glared at Cole. "I love you." She enunciated each word clearly. At the same time, her right hand pierced through Cole's left chest and pinched his heart. Cole held on to Gu Mengmeng's wrist that was pierced through his chest. He smiled with much difficulty. "Again, cough. I still want to hear it one more time, to hear you say you love me one more time." Gu Mengmeng's eyes were so red that it looked like she was crying blood. She was like a demonized Rakshasa, without the slightest bit of mercy. She slowly tightened her grip on Cole's chest, forcefully breaking every blood vessel connected to his heart. Cole knew that he would never have the chance to hear her say she loved him a second time. He could clearly feel what her hand was doing in his chest, but he did not feel angry, nor did he feel fear. He just stared straight at Gu Mengmeng, wanting to take one more look at her before he lost consciousness. If Gu Mengmeng had the ability to listen to other people's thoughts, she would have heard Cole saying, "Ah, Gu, are you here to kill me? You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Ah, Gu, out of the 100 things I made you remember me for, there is finally one that makes you happy, right? You finally cut open my chest and dug out my heart with your own hands. Are you happy? If you're happy, can you not forget me for the sake of this happiness? Even if it's a painful memory every time you think of me, don't forget me. It doesn't matter if you scold me or hate me. It's fine as long as you remember me." Cole raised his hand with difficulty, his blood-stained hand reaching towards Gu Mengmeng's head. He really wanted to rub her furry little head. He had never combed her hair with the beast horn comb that he had personally made for her. Gu Mengmeng pulled her hand out from Cole's chest without hesitation. Just like how he held on to Elvis's heart just now, she was also holding on to his heart. Chapter 1563. But it didn't matter, he didn't have any regrets. Because at that moment, Gu Mengmeng only saw him in her eyes. "Ah, Gu, didn't you always want me to be in pain and want me to die? You have fulfilled your wish now. So don't blink, don't turn your head, just keep looking at me like this. Before I die, look at me one more time, just one more time. I beg of you." Unfortunately, Gu Mengmeng was destined not to hear Cole's pleas. Her heart was completely on Elvis and Leah, so she threw Cole's heart on the ground without hesitation and ran out of the cave to find Elvis and Leah without a shred of reluctance. She didn't see that the moment she turned her head, that bloody heart that rolled on the ground turned into stone inch by inch. His heart was like a rock when he couldn't get what he wanted. His heart didn't die when she pierced through his chest, but when she turned around and left without hesitation, that was the most painful moment for him. He didn't ask for much, as long as she looked at him one more time. And this dying wish was already an extravagant wish. She didn't love him after all, so he wouldn't share any of his soft-heartedness with her. "Aw Goo, you keep saying that I'm vicious. But how can my viciousness compare to yours?" In the end, Cole took his last breath, his murky eyes staring in the direction that Gu Mengmeng had left. A patch of tender green pierced through his right chest and quickly grew into a branch. If Gu Mengmeng could still remember, the place where the branch grew out was the hole that she personally dug in Oakley's chest when he died. Outside the cave, Gu Mengmeng sat paralyzed on the ground, hugging Elvis, who had a huge hole in his chest and his heart missing. Her other hand was desperately grabbing onto Leah, who was bleeding from all 7 orifices. She cried so hard that she couldn't even make a single sound. That kind of sorrow couldn't be described with words. At the same time, 7 beams of light pierced through the air. Gu Mingming's love of the sky, tear of the beast deity, the 2 hearts in the cave, spirit of the rocky cliffs and heart of the desert, the soul of the forest that grew out of Cole's right chest, the key of the beast king on the Moda Mountains, the kiss of the ocean in Zacharias. Gu Mingming's body went limp and she lost consciousness, fainting in the light beams. Gu Mingming's consciousness sank into chaos and she did not know where she was. It was as if she was a wandering soul looking at the world from a third-person's perspective. The scene was not the beast world, but modern times. The scene was set in a very luxurious hall. There were many people in the hall, all dressed in bright clothes. They gathered together and whispered to each other. Gu Mengmeng slowly approached and realized that there was a European-style sofa in the middle of the crowd. An elderly man and a young lady were sitting on the sofa. Wasn't that girl her? Just as Gu Mengmeng was feeling puzzled, she suddenly felt the world spinning around her. It was as if she had done countless somersaults, and when her view changed again, she was already the one sitting on the sofa. There was a hand on his shoulder. The joints of the hand were distinct, slender and strong. He whispered in her ear, "Don't be afraid. Mom and Dad will stand up for you. Just be good and watch the show." Gu Mengmeng turned around in shock and met with that pair of dark green eyes. She was stunned for 2 seconds before saying, "See. Neek?" Snakel chuckled and pinched Gu Mingming's little nose, saying, "Didn't I tell you how to call me? Ah, Neek?" Gu Mengmeng tried calling out softly. Chapter 1564. Gu Mingming's eyes were red as she bit her lower lip. Her thoughts were in a mess and she could not think of anything. She just felt a sharp pain in her heart and her tears fell down one by one. Snake's mother's heart ached at the sight. What kind of joke was this? This was her precious daughter-in-law who could stabilize her son. How could she bear to suffer such a huge grievance? Even if she brought back F country, the entire family would treat her with respect and could not bear to say a harsh word to her. But here, she was being bullied to tears. "Hubby." The woman used her elbow to nudge her husband lightly. The husband turned around and saw his precious daughter-in-law crying. His anger flared up immediately. "No one is saying anything right. All right, then don't say anything. Someone, call the consulate." Don't. Duke, please calm down first." A man in a suit who looked like he was in charge of public relations immediately stood up. He waved his hand behind him and took a tray from someone beside him. There was a stack of documents on the tray. He smiled apologetically. "This is a gift from the Mo family as an apology on behalf of our daughter. All the assets and documents that can be prepared within an hour are all here. After compensating all these, the Mo family will only have one house left. This kind of compensation is also very sincere. How about?" Snake carried Gu Mengmeng up from the sofa and hugged her in his arms. He said calmly, "My woman does not sell her tears." With that, he carried Gu Mengmeng away. Originally, He only wanted to punish her lightly and let his parents help Gu Mengmeng make the decision. He wanted to give Gu Mengmeng the warmth of a family. As for how far his parents could go, he did not care. But now, the situation was different. Gu Mengmeng cried. Making her cry would escalate the situation. It was definitely not a problem that could be solved with money. After Snako left, the two elders' faces turned extremely gloomy. They exchanged glances and understood that their son was not going to be kind. But he was busy coaxing his wife, so he left this matter to them. If they did not handle it well, they could forget about letting their son return to F country. So, the two of them used the dignity of the F country's royal family and forcefully escalated this small matter into a diplomatic dispute between the two countries. And Snake could no longer be bothered with all these. He placed Gu Mengmeng in the car and sped all the way to Monster Company's CEO's office. He did not release his grip on the steering wheel even when the car was traveling at 140 miles per hour, as if he was afraid that Gu Mengmeng would disappear the moment he let go. But strangely, he didn't say anything along the way. He just held her hand tightly and even trembled slightly. The moment Snake entered the CEO's office, he immediately took out the set of wedding rings that he had ordered long ago from the drawer. He held Gu Mengmeng's hand and said, "Tu Meng, He Chen used 7 years to exchange for Zhao Maxing, Yang Gui used 16 years to exchange for Xiao Longnu, Feng Qingshui used 900 years to exchange for Bailey Tusu. What about me? Can I use the past 1,000 years and this life to exchange for you?" Snake. This place is. I'm not. Gu Mengmeng's pupils trembled violently. Her dazed state along the way slowly became clear. This was not the beast world, nor was it the modern world. It was the television series that she had watched with the beast deity. Chapter 1565. Snake slowly let go of Gu Mengmeng. He no longer wrapped his arms around her, but held one of her hands. Then, he slowly knelt down with one knee on the ground. He looked up at Gu Mengmeng and said, "Tu Meng, I said before, I will only propose once in my life. Marry me, all right? The illusion you mentioned just now." Snake maintained his kneeling position and smiled. "You appearing here means that the doors of time and space have already opened. This is your original world, a four-legged snake, with your family and friends. As long as you are willing to come back, everything that happened in the past 19 years will become your memory. I will let you live in bliss for the rest of your life. But if you still want to return to the beast world, then everything here will just be an illusion, a dream that I spent 19 years in." Snake opened the ring box. A pair of snake-shaped rings lay quietly inside. 2 snakes shared a snake gallbladder. Snake said before that when they were together, they were a complete pair of snakes. But if they were separated, the gallbladder would belong to the female snake. The male snake would not have a gallbladder and would definitely die. "Tu Meng, don't let me lose you again. Marry me, all right?" Countless memories squeezed into Gu Mengmeng's brain. Those television dramas that she watched with the beast deity were all replaced with her own memories. It was as if she had always been in a relationship with Snake. The memories of the two worlds intertwined and collided with each other. Gu Mengmeng only felt a splitting headache. She held her head and shook it continuously. She wanted to scream but could not make a sound. Snake was worried and his heart ached. He hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly and said deeply, "Tu Meng, don't be afraid. It's all right. I'm here, I will protect you. Forget everything in the beast world. Stay here. And I will accompany you, all right?" "No. No." Gu Mengmeng clenched her teeth, her eyes bloodshot. She could not let go of Elvis and Leah. They were still lying in a pool of blood. The tragic deaths of Elvis and Leah kept flashing through her mind, as well as the promise she made on the day she mated with Elvis. She said, "Elvis, I love you. I will give myself to you. From now on, I will treat you as my pride, my sky, and my husband. If you don't leave me, I will be with you in life. If you are in danger, I will use my life to pay for it. She had promised Elvis and Leah that no matter how many lies she had told, there was at least one thing that she would never lie to them. She would never abandon them, never. I want to go back, I want to return to the beast world. Gu Meng Meng screamed. She bit the tip of her tongue harshly to keep herself awake. She told herself that these messy memories could not be trusted. Everything about Snake was seen on television with the beast deity in the beast world. Those memories did not belong to her. She reminded herself cruelly, Snake was already dead, the person in front of her was just an illusion. I want Elvis, I want Leah, I don't want you. No. Gu Meng Meng screamed with all her might, using all her strength to push Snake away. Snake stumbled backwards and the ring fell to the ground. The male and female snake separated from each other. The female snake had an extra gem, while the male snake was missing a gallbladder. The scene in front of him was distorted, like an oil painting soaked in water. With a light brush of the water, the oil paint faded away. Chapter 1566. The white fog had long dissipated and this was Gu Mingming's illusion. She looked around secretly but did not see the beast deity. Father, father, where are you? Come out quickly. I need you, father. Gu Meng Meng was sobbing and could not form a sentence or sentence. She could only run around aimlessly, shouting and begging. Vaguely, some shadows gradually formed into human shapes in the air. Gu Meng Meng rubbed her eyes and looked carefully. Frowning, Gu Meng Meng could not help but call out her name, Wang Xiaoxin. Wang Xiaoxin smiled faintly with a tinge of guilt and heartache. She took 2 steps forward and hugged Gu Meng Meng gently in her arms. Child, thank you, and, sorry. Gu Mingming's mind was still in a mess. Everything happened too suddenly and she could not make heads or tails of it. Wang Xiaoxin felt Gu Mingming's stiffness and held her shoulders with both hands. You don't have to be so guarded, we are not strangers, right? Maybe, if I change my stance, you will be more relaxed. With that, Wang Xiaoxin's features became blurry in front of Gu Meng Meng, then slowly, she turned into a white-robed, ethereal fairy-like beast deity. You. Gu Meng Meng felt that she had millions of questions to ask but they were all stuck in her throat and she could not say a single word. Sorry, I lied to you. Wang Xiaoxin held Gu Mingming's hand and sat back on that 2-seater wooden chair. She still had a guilty smile on her face and sighed, the beast deity will not lie. This sentence itself is the biggest lie. Sorry, I lied to you right from the start. But please believe that I have no ill intentions. Gu Meng Meng jumped up from the chair and sniffled, Elvis. Elvis and Leah, don't panic, calm down and listen to me. That's my man, how can I not panic? Gu Meng Meng tugged at the corner of the beast deity's shirt and said, no matter what you lied to me, I will not hold it against you. Return Elvis and Leah to me, I beg you, return them to me. Wang Xiaoxin sighed and looked to the side with a dark gaze. Gu Meng Meng followed Wang Xiaoxin's gaze and saw a huge door. It was so huge that one could see the edge of it. She could only see a small gap in the door and the person standing in the gap was Snake. Child, you asked me before if what you saw Snake experiencing in that world was a fantasy. I told you it wasn't. Whether this is true or not is up to you. With the 7 treasures gathered, the gate of time and space opened. If you cross over to the other side of the door, everything you saw about Snake will be your real memory and not an illusion. Wang Xiaoxin stood up behind Gu Meng Meng and held her shoulders lightly with both hands, saying, Elvis and Leah are already dead, what's there for you to miss in the beast world? Why don't you transmigrate back to the modern world? With Snake protecting you and taking care of you, you can definitely live a happy life. As for everything that happened in the beast world, I will help you erase it and make you forget about it, as if it had never happened. This way, you won't be in pain. Just like what we see in the TV series, you will have a simple and happy life. This is my compensation to you, okay? Chapter 1567. Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip tightly, and after a while, she apologized with a heavy sobbing tone. "Ah, hell, I'm sorry." Snake's brows were tightly knitted and did not relax, but his tightly pursed lips slowly relaxed, curling into a helpless smile. He stood there looking at the tears in Gu Mengmeng's eyes and sighed with a smile. Then, he took a step forward and stepped out of the door, standing in the same world as Gu Mengmeng. That step had almost peeled off a layer of his skin. The pressure and friction from crossing through time and space made him feel unbearable pain, but he just gritted his teeth and endured it. He could not show any signs of weakness in front of Tu Meng. He had to be strong to protect her, no matter where he was. With his palm facing up, Snake took 2 deep breaths to calm himself down before saying, "Tu Meng, come here." It was as if Gu Mengmeng's feet did not belong to her as she took small steps towards Snake. Her eyes were fixated on his face the entire time, and the closer she got, the louder she sobbed. This was the man who had cut open his own chest for her. This was the man who had left his own world to go to a completely unfamiliar place to create a perfect future for her. This was the man who had once again crossed time and space for her. He was not stingy at all when he had spent 19 years of hard work for her. For a mere Gu Mengmeng, he had tossed his status, money, glory, respect, and even his life to the back of his mind. And what about her? Other than hurting him time and time again, what else had she done? Snake maintained his palm facing up as he waited for Gu Mengmeng to place her hand in his. But when Gu Mengmeng walked to him, she did not hold his hand but just pounced into his arms, hugging him tightly like a lost child, panicking and helpless, hugging a loved one and crying her heart out. Choking with sobs, she said, "Ah, hell, what should I do? Elvis and Leah are dead, what should I do? I'm so scared. I have nothing left," sob sob sob. "Ah, hell, what should I do?" This was the first time Gu Mengmeng had voluntarily thrown herself into his arms, the first time she had sought his help, and the first time she had unreservedly displayed her weakness in front of him. Snake hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly with both hands, his lips curling into a deep smile. The things that he had once envied to the point of madness and jealousy to the point of wanting to kill had finally happened to him. At that time, he had questioned her, "Look for Elvis when you're sad, look for Leah when you're injured, then when will you think of me?" Now, she was looking for him. She hugged him and asked, "What should we do?" "Ah, Peng, what should I do? I'm so scared." It turned out that having a dream come true was not necessarily a happy thing. He would rather be envious and jealous for the rest of his life than let her cry like a child who had lost everything. Pressing his lips against the side of her ear, he gently kissed it and said in a deep and husky voice, "Who said you have nothing left? You still have me. Don't forget, no matter which world you are in, I'm an omnipotent powerhouse." Chapter 1568. Gu Mengmeng's tears were still hanging on her face as she stared at Snake with eyes full of anticipation. Snakel smiled as he pulled her back into his arms. He said deeply, "I've been through a lot in the mortal world, and it's all because of you. Tu Meng, you must remember, you're the only person in this world who can ride on my shoulders. So, don't be afraid, don't cry, wait for me to come back." Gu Mengmeng did not know what Snake wanted to do. She just felt a sharp pain in her heart. Instinctively, she grabbed onto Snake's clothes tightly. She did not know what she was denying and just shook her head violently out of instinct. Snake smiled and kissed her lips. This was the first time he truly kissed her. He kissed the real Gu Mengmeng. He pulled her into his arms forcefully, wishing he could rub her into his own chest. He said, "In the end, Zhuangzhou dreamed of a butterfly. You are a blessing and also a calamity. Tu Meng, do you know? From the first time I saw you, I heard the beast deity whispering these words in my ear, there is no escape from this calamity. Gu Meng Meng felt that snake, who was in her arms, seemed to have turned into nothingness. He was like a colorful bubble dancing in the summer wind, drifting further and further away. She could not catch up to him, catch him or touch him. Ah Kel. Ah Kel, don't. Gu Meng Meng tried her best to hold on to Snake, but he eventually disappeared bit by bit. He stared at Gu Meng Meng with a smile the entire time. His last words were, in the previous life and this life, I waited for you twice. This time, it is your turn to wait for me. Wait for me to come back. Don't abandon me again. Tu Meng, I love you. Ah. Ah Kel. Gu Meng Meng screamed at the top of her lungs. But she could not summon Snake back. Once again, Snake had disappeared for her once again, that huge door slowly closed with Snake's disappearance. Creak, crack. Gu Meng Meng looked at the closed door of time and space. She laid on the ground and could not get up. She opened her mouth and cried miserably, but could not make a single sound. After the door disappeared, a few figures appeared. It was as if they were originally standing behind the door and were blocked. Xian, I'm back. The largest figure walked past Gu Meng Meng and directly stood in front of Wang Xiaoxin, hugging her in his arms. Wang Xiaoxin's eyes reddened. She tightly leaned into that person's embrace. Her heart, which had been calm for 1,000 years, was now surging. Her eyes were crying, but her lips were smiling. She choked with sobs for a while before saying, I hate you to death. Why did you make me wait for so long? Sorry, I'm late. That person hugged Wang Xiaoxin and kissed the top of her head. After hugging for a long time, he let out a sigh of relief and said, let's settle this little trouble first. If you continue to cry, you'll die. Yes. Wang Xiaoxin nodded. Her eyes were filled with melancholy as she said indifferently, did I do something wrong? The man replied, in my eyes, everything about you is correct. Wang Xiaoxin chuckled and leaned into the man's arms. Wales, you've changed. 1,000 years ago, you wouldn't have such a glib tongue. Wales did not comment. He just carried Wang Xiaoxin in front of Gu Meng Meng. Then, he kicked Gu Meng Meng from behind and said, Hey, Gu Tu Meng, when are you going to stop crying? My son used his own life to close the door of time and space for you. Aren't you going to make a wish to exchange for your two good-for-nothings? Chapter 1569. But with Gu Mingming's current mood, she really did not have the time to bother about who that person was. She just nodded her head hurriedly and placed her palms together in front of her chest, praying sincerely for Elvis and Leah to return. Gu Meng Meng kept her eyes shut, praying again and again in her heart. Until a familiar and warm embrace embraced her gently, whispering into her ear, Xiao Meng, sorry for making you worry. Gu Meng Meng suddenly opened her eyes, staring at the person in front of her without blinking. He looked down from above, like a deity. A head of black and lush hair casually draped behind him, as if it was dyed with ink, giving off a unique charm. Under a pair of straight eyebrows was a pair of slender peach blossom eyes, full of passion, making one fall into his eyes if they were not careful. He had a tall nose and moderately thick red lips, revealing a dazzling smile. Hubby. Without another word, Gu Meng Meng directly pounced into Elvis's arms and hugged him tightly, crying, You scared me to death, I thought I would never see you again. Sob sob sob. How could you abandon me? You said that you would always take care of me, protect me, and not let me feel uneasy. How could you not keep your words? Elvis allowed Gu Meng Meng to pound and hit his chest, only smiling and indulging her everything. He gently held her little fists and pressed them against his chest, kissing the top of her head, saying, Yeah, it's my fault, it's all my fault. Xiao Meng only has eyes for him. A furry tail swayed lightly, and a slender arm wrapped around Gu Mingming's waist. He did not pull Gu Mengmeng out from Elvis's arms, but stuck himself into Gu Mingming's arms in a flirtatious manner. Looking up, his slender and affectionate eyes were full of deep love, his thin lips outlined the contours of his face, making him look like a demon or a deity. That flirtatious blink of an eye made the entire world lose its color. Let me see, Ioyo, your eyes are swollen from crying. You're crying so hard, looks like I've made a serious mistake this time. Then Xiao Meng Meng, how are you going to punish me? Are you going to throw potatoes or pull my ears? I promise I won't dodge. Or, if you want to whip me with a small leather whip, that's fine too, get lost. Gu Mengmeng scolded with a thick nasal voice, but both her hands were wrapped tightly around Li's neck. She cried tears of joy when she regained what she had lost. Elvis hugged Gu Mengmeng while Gu Mengmeng hugged Leah. The scene of the three of them together had completed the entire world. The smile at the corner of her lips made the tears on her face look happy. After a long while, Wang Xiaoxin and Wales walked up to them after Elvis and Leah had calmed her down. Wang Xiaoxin pulled Gu Mingming's little hand and said guiltily, I'm sorry, I made you go through all these hardships. Also, thank you for returning him to me. Chapter 1570. Thinking of this possibility, Li's face darkened instantly. He turned to look at Gu Mengmeng with a complicated gaze. He did not know how long he had been dead. If it was many years, Gu Mengmeng needed someone to take care of her. This snake beast in front of him was strong enough. With him taking care of Gu Mengmeng, at least she would not be bullied, but he felt really uncomfortable in his heart. Unbeknownst to him, there were other males cooking for her, making clothes for her, feeding her, hugging her, coaxing her, and even, after being partners for 3 to 4 years, Gu Mengmeng had enough understanding of Leah. Most of the time, he was all smiles and there were not many people who could make him change his expression. So looking at Li's changing expression, Gu Mengmeng did not even need to think with her toes to know what he was thinking. So she hurriedly shook her head and denied, I don't know him, I really don't know him. Really? Leo looked at Gu Mingming's little face carefully, thinking about the possibility of her returning him to him because he and Elvis had woken up and did not need this snake beast anymore. Seeing her pair of red eyes filled with sincerity and urgency, he heaved a sigh of relief and nodded, it's all right if you know him. Elvis and I are back, you don't need any other males by your side anymore. Wang Xiaoxin wanted to say something but before she could open her mouth, Wales was already in a difficult position. He whipped Leah to one side with his snake tail and said, Little fox, I was too good-tempered when I was in deep sleep, did I spoil you? Don't need any other males. My son dug out his own gall to exchange for her life, and now he sacrificed his life to exchange for the two of you. Now you say that Gu Mengmeng doesn't need any other males. Ha! Leo was flung far away and he stood up while holding his chest. He had originally thought that this snake beast wanted to challenge Gu Mingming's partner to fight for the right to be his partner, so Leo was prepared to fight to the death. But these words, why did it sound different as he listened on? Gu Mengmeng also looked at Wales with a dumbfounded expression and asked carefully, You are, little shit? Yeah. Wales responded in an extremely impatient manner, but after replying, he felt aggrieved. He turned to look at Gu Mengmeng and said, Gu Tu Meng, open your eyes wide for me to see, this is how I really look like, do I look like shit? Do I? Ah. This fiery temper, yes, it was little shit without a doubt. Gu Mengmeng sniffled. She did not know why but she felt so touched that she wanted to cry. She lost all the people who mattered to her in one day, and then on the same day, all the people who mattered to her came back into her life one by one. The joy of regaining something she had lost made her nose sting. Rubbing her nose, she laughed and retorted, You have to show your true form and roll up, then I will know if you look like shit. Wales did not hesitate and directly revealed his original form, coiling up in front of Gu Mengmeng. He was no longer the same yellow as before. Instead, he was a silvery white, as if the 1,000-year-old ice on the Moda Mountains had formed on his scales. He was dazzling, elegant and cool. Gu Mengmeng shook her head and said, "It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like shit. It looks like lazy hair. It looks like McDonald's ice cream. It looks like white shit." Wales, who had just transformed into his human form, wanted to clear his name and tell Gu Mengmeng not to call him little shit in the future. In the end, he choked on Gu Mengmeng's last sentence. He pointed at Gu Mengmeng's nose and roared, "Gu Mengmeng." Aside from the topic, everyone could see it, right? This was the end of the chapter. Everyone would accompany me to the end of the last journey, right? Chapter 1573. Gu Mengmeng could only watch as Wang Xiaoxin brought Wales and Samuel away like a cloud of fog. And Wales only left one sentence, "Gu Tu Meng, take care," and disappeared with Wang Xiaoxin. From the time they met in the Beast King Valley to her departure after Snake's death and Little Shit's pursuit, they would be separated twice a year. Every time, Gu Mengmeng would feel a sense of reluctance to part. But this time, they would never meet again. Gu Mengmeng felt enlightened. Perhaps it was because every time they parted, it meant that Little Shit had to face a period of loneliness alone. But this time was different. He had someone he loved by his side. They had waited for each other for 1,000 years and their relationship was stronger than gold. Looking at the way Little Shit was looking at Wang Xiaoxin, Gu Mengmeng knew that even if they did not part, Little Shit would not have the time to care about her. Moreover, if Snake was resurrected after 1,000 years, to make him call Whales daddy, they would probably have to fight until the sun and moon changed color. Gu Mengmeng leaned against Elvis's chest and hugged him tightly, saying, "Hubby, everything changed too quickly today. I feel like it's unreal, like I'm dreaming." Elvis kissed Gu Mengmeng's little face and said, "This is a dream realm, of course you're dreaming now." Gu Mengmeng looked around in a daze, nodded and smiled, "That's true, isn't it a dream? But hubby, if we wake up now, you'll still be here, right?" Elvis grabbed Gu Mengmeng's little hand and kissed it, saying, "I won't do anything that makes you sad a second time." Gu Mengmeng then nodded, then held on to Elvis with one hand and Leah with the other. She closed her eyes tightly and the familiar feeling of falling made Gu Mengmeng's heart beat like a drum. Everything was stable, but Gu Mengmeng did not dare to open her eyes. The faint smell of blood told her that she had returned to the beast world, to the cave in the Snake King Valley. But, what if she opened her eyes to see a huge hole in Elvis's chest and Leah lying on the ground bleeding from all his orifices? Gu Mengmeng was trembling all over. She regretted it, she should not have woken up. Even if it was a dream, she should have fallen into a deep sleep in that dream. "Xiao Meng, open your eyes." A familiar voice used a short sentence to comfort Gu Mengmeng's uneasiness. She opened her eyes and stared at Elvis, then immediately shifted her gaze down to his chest. Heaving a sigh of relief, Gu Mengmeng smiled. "Thank God, you're all right." Leah. I'm here." After Leah woke up, he immediately transformed back into his original form and cleaned up the terrifying bloodstains on his face. He was now in his half-beast form, swaying his large furry tail as he walked seductively. Leaning against Gu Mengmeng's knees, he propped his chin on his hand and said, "Xiao Mengmeng, I heard that only beast kings can enter that dreamland. Aren't you curious, why am I there?" Gu Mengmeng paused for a moment before her lips curled upwards unknowingly. She looked at Leah and asked with a smile, "You?" Leah nodded. "Maybe you don't believe me, but Cole's tear of the beast deity is with me." Gu Mengmeng frowned, not understanding. Chapter 1574. Why would he do that? Gu Mengmeng did not understand. Her first reaction was, "He is already dead, what other scheme is there? How does he want to harm you?" Does he mean that he will not let you off even in death? Leah held Gu Mingming's shoulders with both hands to calm her down. He said calmly, "No, it is not to harm me. It is to help me become the Beast King and protect my heart. This is the last thing he did for you. He asked me not to say anything and I agreed, but he is still my biological brother. No matter how twisted he is, no matter how unbearable he is, at least this matter. I don't want you to misunderstand him." Gu Mengmeng lowered her head in silence and said, "Cole, he seems to be purposely provoking me." Leah chuckled and asked, "How did you think of that?" Gu Mengmeng said, "Before he died, he told me how to break the bewitching spell between him and Qi Xian. It was as if he wanted me to kill him without any worries. I was so angry at that time, but now that I think about it, it seems like he was purposely provoking me." Leah nodded and admitted, "Yes, he's right. He is really gifted and blessed by the heavens when it comes to provoking your hatred." Gu Mengmeng hesitated for a while before looking up at Leah and asking, "Did I kill the wrong person?" "No." Leah answered without hesitation. He hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, he was tired of living and only wished for death. Dying in your hands is already considered as seeking benevolence. Although to you, he may no longer be a heinous person, but to others in the beast world, he is still guilty of many crimes. By killing him, you have gotten rid of a scourge for the people. Gu Mengmeng touched the position of her heart and said, "But I still feel very uncomfortable. I did it because he killed you and Elvis, in a fit of anger, but now that you two are fine and he is dead, I feel like I killed a good citizen by mistake." Leah thought for a while and said, "Cole. Good citizen. It can't be, although he had his reasons. It is true that he tortured me all those years. And Elvis's tragic childhood also has something to do with him. Qi Xian was separated from your own flesh and blood, causing you to cry so miserably. It is also true. Any one of them is enough to be a reason to kill him." Leah placed Gu Mengmeng into Elvis's arms and held her shoulders with both hands. He looked straight into her eyes and said, "I told you what Cole had done not to make you feel guilty, but to make you not hate him anymore. I have hated him for more than 10 years. I know how painful it is to hate someone. I don't want you to experience this pain, so, since he is already dead, then all the past will be written off, and the past will be forgotten. Forgive him and let yourself go, okay?" Gu Mengmeng nodded slightly and said, "All right, I don't hate him. Let bygones be bygones. Good girl." Leah smiled and nodded. Then, he kissed Gu Mingming's cheek and said, "There's one more thing that I have to tell you in advance." "What?" Leah and Elvis exchanged glances before he slowly opened his mouth and said, "The 7 treasures have been gathered and the doors of time and space have been opened. So the tear of the beast deity and love of the sky in your body are all gone. You don't have the powers of a beast king now. Just like when you transmigrated here, you are just a weak little female. So, if you meet with anything in the future, you cannot rush forward anymore. You have to hide behind Elvis and me obediently, understand?" Aside from the topic, this was Cole's last wish, but he could not get it. He wanted Gu Mengmeng to love him, but Gu Mengmeng did not love him. He wanted Gu Mengmeng to hate him, but Leah did not allow it. He wanted Gu Mengmeng to remember him, but how long could a stranger who did not love or hate him remember him? Chapter 1575. Gu Mengmeng tried to release her pressure and there was indeed nothing left. She chuckled and said helplessly, "All right, the image of a grown woman is not suitable for me. Moreover, my 2 men are already beast kings, what's the use of pressure?" Li's mood improved slightly when he saw that Gu Mengmeng was not disappointed, but there was a more important problem, that was, the love of the sky is also gone, so you will definitely be in a lot of pain when giving birth to this child, so, Gu Mengmeng clutched her stomach and glared at him, "I won't say anything else, but if you dare to have any ideas on my stomach, I will fight you to the death." He knew it would be like this, Leah sighed helplessly and said, "I know how much you treasure this child, how would I dare to have any ideas on her? What I want to say is, can't we see the situation of your era in the illusion realm? Since you are a beast deity now, can you send me into the illusion realm too and let me learn some childbirth-related medical skills? This way, when you give birth, your pain can be reduced to the greatest extent." Gu Mengmeng finally relaxed when she heard Li's words. She nodded slowly and said, "Oh, if that's the case, you should have said so earlier, you scared me." Leah poked Gu Mingming's little head and said, "You didn't even listen to what I said to Elvis. We already said that we will not do anything that would make you sad a second time." Gu Mengmeng knew that she was being too petty, so she smiled and said, "How could that be? I've taken your words to heart, really. Little liar." Leah scolded her, but his eyes were smiling. At least, she kept her promise of not abandoning them. As long as she did this, they would not mind how many times she lied to them about other things. Considering Gu Mingming's health, Leah did not immediately enter the illusion realm again, but started to cook first. Once they entered the illusion realm, they would unknowingly be in it for a few days, and Gu Mengmeng was pregnant now, so she could not be hungry. No matter what, he had to let her eat her fill first. Elvis placed Gu Mengmeng by the fire pit, intending to enter the cave to clean up and dispose of Cole's corpse, so that Gu Mengmeng would not feel uncomfortable. But once they entered the cave, they realized that there was not even a trace of blood on the floor, not to mention Cole's corpse. Elvis frowned and called out, "Leah." Leah did not understand, so he put down the spatula in his hands and walked in. Seeing the situation in front of him, he exclaimed, "Eh." Although Gu Mengmeng was against it and did not want to see Cole's corpse, she could not resist her curiosity and followed in. A small tree grew where Cole's corpse was originally placed. It was about half the height of a human and its leaves glowed with a strange light, like cold jade. Gu Mengmeng placed her fingers on it lightly, the feeling was so familiar, soul of the forest. Gu Mengmeng blurted. Elvis and Leah looked at each other for a moment and nodded. "This is Snake's old residence, it's only natural for his soul to return here." It seemed like Cole had become nourishment for the soul of the forest and was completely absorbed and digested. That's right, why would someone like Snake allow outsiders to stay in his cave? That's good too, it's a clean break. Lee's hand also lightly touched the trunk of the small tree. He smiled and nodded. "But, the soul of the forest is a treasure, it cannot be seen in the next 1,000 years. Now that Snake and Whales are both gone, this Snake King Valley, who will guard it?" Aside from the topic. Chapter 1576. I haven't thought about it yet, let's talk about it when the time comes. Anyway, there's still some time before winter ends. Gu Mengmeng stared at the little tree in a daze. She couldn't tell if this little tree was Snake or Cole in her eyes. Shaking her head, Gu Mengmeng said, "Let's go out, this room shall be his room." Elvis and Leah didn't have any objections and just carried Gu Mengmeng into the cave outside. Without the powers of a beast king, Gu Mengmeng's ability to withstand the cold plummeted. Leah had no choice but to light a few more braziers in the cave to keep her warm, while Elvis and Leah took turns to warm her abdomen in their original forms. This warmth lasted for an entire winter. Gu Mingming's abdomen didn't grow after that time and remained at the same level as her chest. This made Gu Mengmeng a little worried. After all, she had killed someone and transmigrated. This torment, she didn't know if this child was still around. If she died in the womb, the little fellow in her abdomen seemed to have sensed her mother's thoughts and didn't want to die, without knowing why, so she moved her little feet helplessly, reminding her that she was still alive. This made Gu Mengmeng feel much more at ease. Elvis and Leah, who were always on tenterhooks but didn't dare to say anything, also calmed down. The snow that sealed the entrance of the cave was scattered from the outside. Gu Mengmeng was a little surprised. This was the Snake King Valley, and no one should know that whales had already left. Moreover, she had entered with great fanfare before winter arrived. In the eyes of the people in the beast world, there should be 3 beast kings, Gu Meng Meng, Cole and Elvis, as well as 2 fifth-level beasts, Little Shit and Leah, guarding this place. Attacking the Snake King Valley at this time. Wasn't that the same as entering the toilet with a lantern, seeking death? Elvis carried Gu Meng Meng while Leah instantly flashed his sharp claws in front of Elvis. He had his usual faint smile on his face, just like a mask. But when they saw who it was, everyone was stunned. Qi Xian. Why are you here at this time? Gu Meng Meng jumped down from Elvis's arms and walked to Qi Xuan's side. She patted the snow off his body and said with some heartache, "It's almost winter but the snow hasn't stopped. It must be very cold, don't tell me something happened to Zacharias." Qi Xian shook his head and remained silent for a moment before saying, "Something happened to him, right?" Qi Xian didn't understand. Cole. Qi Xian stared straight at Gu Meng Meng, waiting for her answer. Under Qi Xuan's gaze, Gu Meng Meng nodded. I killed him." Qi Xuan's expression was indecipherable. He just hugged Gu Meng Meng and said, "I knew this day would come. But Mom, I still feel very uncomfortable." Qi Xian. Chapter 1577. He was the one who told me that it doesn't matter if I hurt others or myself. The bottom line is to not let you cry. So when you cried, I knew I was wrong. I would rather brandish my claws at him, bare my fangs and ignore my reliance on him than let you shed a single tear. Qi Xian hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly. He frowned and said to Gu Meng Meng, "Mother, you don't know, right? When I resolutely abandoned him and returned to your side, he looked at me with approval and pride that he had never shown before. I clearly saw the message, 'You are indeed the Qi Xian I raised,' in his eyes. How ironic is that? The person you hate to the core is admiring an ingrate who abandoned him for you." Gu Meng Meng patted Qi Xuan's back lightly and said, "Sorry, Mother has made things difficult for you." Qi Xian shook his head and said, "You are my mother. You are always right." Gu Meng Meng sighed and did not know what to say. "Mother, where is he? Can you let me see him one last time?" Qi Xuan's tone was pleading. Gu Meng Meng nodded and led Qi Xian into the cave. She pointed at the small tree and said, "He is here, he has merged with this small tree." Qi Xian knelt by the tree and kowtowed 3 times. "I am not fated to call you Father Beast, but I still thank you for raising me. I will take good care of my mother and will never let her cry because of me again, so, don't worry." Just as he finished speaking, a leaf floated down from the tree branch and landed between Qi Xuan's brows. In the blink of an eye, it sank into his skin. This. Gu Meng Meng was puzzled. Leo leaned against the entrance of the cave and could not help but laugh when he saw this scene. "All right, don't bother thinking about it anymore. He has already chosen the person guarding the soul of the forest." "What? No, Qi Xian is only a 2nd-level beast, how can he guard it?" Gu Meng Meng was really worried. Once the news of the soul of the forest being here was leaked, the beast world would be in chaos. Gu Meng Meng could not be at ease leaving Qi Xian in such a position. Leah chuckled and asked, "Have you forgotten how much effort we had to put in to obtain the soul of the forest in Zacharias? Elvis and I almost died there. In the entire beast world, how many could match up to Elvis and I in battle?" But Gu Meng Meng was still worried. Qi Xian hugged Gu Meng Meng and looked at the little tree. "Mom, you were afraid that he would lead me astray in the past, so you didn't let me near him. Now I'm afraid that he won't have the chance to mislead me anymore. So, let me accompany him, take it as repayment for his kindness in raising me. After all, I'm a wolf. Not repaying kindness isn't the style of our wolf clan." As Qi Xian spoke, he looked at Elvis, as if waiting for Elvis to speak up for him. In the end, Elvis shrugged his shoulders and laughed coldly. There's no use looking at me. I'm afraid of my wife. The valley is guarded by the blood-red vines, and I will lead the stray beasts to suppress the situation outside. It will definitely be safe. As for the new messenger of the beast deity that you're worried about after 1,000 years, let's leave it to fate then. I think you don't have to think too much about it. Moreover, Snake is more anxious to see you than anyone else. If it was really someone you sent, not only would he not make things difficult for you, he might even take the initiative to pluck that tree and send it to them. Gu Mengmeng thought about it. Indeed, this was something Snake would do. Hugging her own son, Gu Mengmeng reminded him, no matter what happens, don't bear it alone. You still have 3 brothers, your father the Wolf King and Daddy Leah the Fox King. Most importantly, you still have a mother who is the beast deity. Understand? Digression, today's update has ended. Chapter 1581. If he wanted Qi Xian to die, he would have done so long ago. On the contrary, he tolerated Qi Xuan's provocations and rebellious behavior because he developed feelings for him. After all, human hearts were made of flesh. If Cole had not treated Qi Xian so well, Qi Xian would not have treated him like his own father. Now that she thought about it, Gu Mengmeng felt that she might have been too extreme at that time. But Sandy did not care about all that. She just pulled Gu Mengmeng over to check on her. Seeing that she was not injured or sick, she felt more at ease. Who cares what happened to him? It's just that when I knew he was dead, the first thing I thought of was the price you would have to pay. The more I thought about it, the more flustered I became. I lived in fear for the entire winter. Afterwards, Arnold said that he could feel the birth of a new king. I guessed that there was no one else other than Leah. Only then did I feel more at ease. Aren't I fine now? Gu Mengmeng held Sandy's little hand and comforted her as they walked into the city. Congratulations to the Fox King and Queen for having a noble daughter. Arnold cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Gu Mengmeng chuckled. Now, I am truly worthy of being addressed as Queen. Arnold, thank you for your blessings. With that, Gu Mengmeng patted Sandy's little hand. Now that Leah has become the Fox King, the Fox and Wolf tribes will become the closest of friends. So, you don't have to worry about what will happen to him, me, or anyone else. If you like him, just let him be. Sandy cleared her throat and smiled. She turned her head to look at Arnold and said, Arnold, you go back home and lie down first. I'll go back in a bit. Arnold's eyes flashed. The corners of his lips curled up uncontrollably. He replied softly, yes. Then, he turned to leave and returned to the small stone room. Leah was also smiling. He teased. Not attending. Sandy turned to look at Leah for a moment. The mighty Leah who hung on the tree in St. Nazaire like a piece of fox skin and was on the brink of death. I don't think he has much of a future now. Leah gritted his teeth. I am the Fox King now. Aren't you afraid that I will kill your little fox in anger? Sandy hugged Gu Mingming's arm and said, kill him if you can. By then, I will stick to my girl every day and she will definitely coax me and ignore you. By then, even if you go to the platform of the deity's punishment and try to commit suicide, I will not let go. I will not let her save you, humph. You. Leo looked at Gu Mengmeng and took a deep breath. He smiled apologetically and said, a good man does not fight with a woman. I will tolerate you. Sandy chuckled and looked at Gu Mengmeng. Did you see that? This is what a woman should be like. You stay at home every day like a coward and get bullied by the two of them. As she spoke, Sandy gently caressed Gu Mingming's tummy. My daughter-in-law is inside. She must not be as cowardly as you in the future. She had to be dignified, with the demeanor of the head of the family. From now on, the two of us have to lead by example and have the final say in the family. What is this called? Called again. Gu Mengmeng smiled and added, prenatal education. Yes. Prenatal education. Prenatal education is very important. Sandy rambled on and on. None of the males from the two families dared to interrupt. Elvis nudged Leah gently and asked softly, you actually have a day where you admit defeat? Chapter 1582. Since Arnold was still at home waiting for Sandy's arrival, Gu Mengmeng did not hold Sandy for too long and just teased her for a while before sending her off. Leo was the new king and naturally had some matters to settle. He would not stay in Sauder for long and would even die with Gu Mengmeng after Gu Mengmeng settled her affairs. In order to prevent the world from falling into chaos after the sudden disappearance of the Fox King, many things had to be settled now. But due to the change of the Fox King, Cole, who used to be Gu Mingming's enemy, became her partner, Leah. The relationship between the Fox King and the Wolf Clan changed from being enemies to a family. In order not to put the Beast Kings of both clans in a difficult position because of their clansmen, both parties were much more polite to each other. As time went by, they developed many true friendships. Although they were not as close as Elvis and Leah, they were still very harmonious and got along well with each other. Although Lee's methods were much gentler than Cole's, they were after all learned from the same system. Many times, they achieved the same results through different means. It was just that he cared about Gu Mingming's feelings. Leo was more lenient and did not use the simple and violent methods in the past. Instead, he used the carrot and stick strategy. Although it was a roundabout way, with Elvis's cooperation, the matters in Sauder did not take up too much time. Before the monsoon season ended, Leah and Elvis had already arranged everything. Oraton's injuries had already healed before winter, but because Gu Mengmeng did not stay in Sauder for the winter, he stayed in the stone castle alone as a guardian beast. There was food originally prepared by Elvis in the stone castle and it was enough for him to eat alone. But although he did not have that kind of relationship with Gu Mengmeng, he was still a member of the family. Hence, when Gu Mengmeng left Sauder, Oraton followed her. Sandy's eyes were red as she held back her tears and said, "Girl, we agreed that the one in your tummy must prioritize our son as the first partner in the future. So, after you give birth, you must come back to see me, or else. I will cry myself to death." Gu Mengmeng hugged Sandy and patted her back, coaxing her gently, "All right, my little bear bun. You're already a mother, why do you still cry so much? You're still the same as when we first met. You haven't matured at all. I don't care. If you don't agree, I won't let go." Sandy's eyes were rimmed red, like a child who had to buy a toy no matter what, and Gu Mengmeng was her most beloved toy. Gu Mengmeng shook her head helplessly and said, all right, after I give birth, I will definitely bring her over to let you, my future mother-in-law, take a look, all right? Sandy stretched out her chubby little hand with her pinky and said, "Pinky promise." "All right." A gentle breeze blew and the feather on Gu Mingming's right ear fluttered in the wind. It was like someone's faint smile, carrying a tinge of approval. Gu Mengmeng walked to one of the caves on the mountain peak. She knew that Samuel's body was originally placed on the other side, so this side should be Gregory's. Great messenger. Lucas stopped Gu Mengmeng and shook his head. He said, "Birds have their own pride. What he doesn't want the most is for you to see him in such a miserable state." Gu Mengmeng stopped in her tracks and looked at Lucas. After a while, she smiled and said, "You are right. He doesn't want me to pity him because of his misery." Chapter 1584. Gu Meng Meng looked up at the blue sky and smiled faintly. I really came back to Moda Mountains for the dry season. Did you have a hard time waiting for me this year? Let me sing a song to console you, alright. Gu Mingming's reply was only a light breeze. Gu Mengmeng cleared her throat and sang, Just Happened to Meet You. This was a song she had sung many times for Gregory. But back then, when she sang, he was hugging her and swaying his body along with the melody. But now, she was alone and the wind was her companion. Before she had the time to feel sad, a wave of chirping filled the air. Gu Mengmeng followed the sound. Countless birds flew up from the foot of the mountain. They were colorful and covered the sky. It was a spectacular sight. The birds spread their wings and soared, some high, some low, some left, some right. Seeing that Gu Mengmeng was looking at them, they all transformed into half-beasts and surrounded Gu Mengmeng. Then, they started singing the melody without words. This song, Gu Mengmeng had heard it before. It was the song that Grace had sung to her when he held her in his arms back then. Gu Mingming's eyes felt a little sore. She knew that this was the symphony Gregory had prepared for her. It was a concert only for her to listen to. This was the romance he had given her, only for her. After the song was finished, the birds scattered in all directions, just like when they came. All of this seemed to be just a dream. It was so unreal. Gu Mengmeng turned back to look at Lucas. Lucas stood beside her with a smile. This is a ceremony for the birds of Moda Mountains to congratulate their leader on his marriage. It should have been sent last year, but... Gu Mengmeng nodded to show that she understood. Last year, Gregory had broken his wings and was blinded. She was forcefully taken away by Samuel's wings. She cried her heart out and fainted in the end. Under those circumstances, it was indeed not suitable to hold this ceremony. Although Gregory was just a beast pet, he was still considered a member of her family. In the beast world, Gregory was her man. Who is the leader of Moda Mountains now? Gu Mengmeng did not want the atmosphere to be too heavy. Because Gregory had said that he liked it when she smiled. As long as she smiled, he would feel happy. So, at least on Moda Mountains, Gu Mengmeng had to maintain a smile at all times. Lucas shook his head and said, in the past, the choice of a leader was based on the response to that Lord's messenger. But last year, when we went down the mountain, we found that the messenger had disappeared. So... Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, all right, bring me to see Miranda. Yes. Lucas was actually a little hesitant, but Gu Mingming's partner was Leah and he held Miranda's life in his hands. He really did not dare to defy Gu Mingming's orders. Moreover, she was someone Gregory had been protecting with all his heart. Now, Gregory was the guardian of the Moda Mountains. After wrapping Gu Mengmeng in the beast skin, Lucas spread his wings and flew up, bringing Gu Mengmeng back to his cave. In the cave, Miranda was followed by a few small vultures. Their big black eyes were particularly cute. Miranda instinctively shrank back when she saw Gu Mengmeng, and at the same time, protected the little vulture in her arms. Chapter 1585. Do you know that Cole is dead? Gu Mengmeng asked softly. Miranda nodded. She was a snow fox and could sense the change of the Fox King through her bloodline. She did not need to witness anything personally to know. Gu Mengmeng continued, the new Fox King is Leah. Upon hearing the name that she had struggled with for half her life, Miranda was stunned for a moment and suddenly smiled. What are you smiling at? Gu Mengmeng asked calmly. Perhaps Gu Mingming's attitude was too easygoing, so Miranda gradually relaxed. She looked at Gu Mengmeng and still replied, in this year. I have not thought of him at all. Now that you mention it, I realized. I seem to have let him go. Gu Mengmeng smiled and nodded, saying, the stubbornness and naive infatuation when you were young. Later on, when you were in danger, you would naturally fantasize about him rescuing you like a hero. Now that you are living a blissful life and have partners who love you, they are the heroes you can easily reach. With them, you naturally do not need an imaginary hero anymore. Miranda nodded, indicating that she agreed with Gu Mengmeng's words. Gu Mengmeng reached out and held on to Miranda's wrist, saying, "I was also rash in the past. Your hands, it's my fault." Miranda shook her head and said, "I did not have any good intentions when I went to solder. These hands, take it as retribution. I promised Leah that everything that happened in the past will be written off and I will not hold it against him anymore. So one of the reasons I came here this time is to treat your hands." Gu Mengmeng held on to Miranda's wrists gently and slowly closed her eyes, praying silently in her heart. When she opened her eyes again, she had a gentle smile on her face and said, "Try moving around." Miranda looked at her own wrists in disbelief. Her beautiful eyes widened and she could not say a word for a long time. She looked up at Lucas and then reached out her hands. Lucas pulled Miranda over in excitement and scrutinized her wrists closely, unable to hide the joy on his face. He did not despise Miranda's crippled hands, but his heart ached for the excruciating pain she would feel every time the weather changed. Now that her wrists were healed, he would never see her rolling on the ground with a pale face and a head full of sweat. "Thank you, Sir Envoy, for your mercy," Lucas said and was about to kneel. Gu Mengmeng pulled Lucas back and smiled. "Maintain your pride as a bird and don't kneel down so easily. If you really want to thank me, perhaps you can do something else for me. I'm willing to listen to Lord Emissary's orders." Gu Mengmeng said, "I want you to replace Gregory and become the new leader of Moda Mountains. Help me guard Moda Mountains, until the next messenger of the beast deity descends." Lucas frowned and said, "I wonder when the next emissary will descend." Gu Mengmeng replied, "About 1,000 years. Lucas said, "Sir Emissary, although I don't know how to count, I know what kind of span 1,000 years is. I'm just a rank 3 orc, I won't be able to live until then." Gu Mengmeng chuckled and looked at the cub beside Miranda. "Even if you don't live to that day, you still have your sons, and your sons will still have sons, your descendants will definitely live to that day." Lucas looked at Miranda, and only when he saw Miranda nod slightly did he place his right hand on his left chest, saluted, and said, "As the great messenger commands, Lucas will not disappoint." Chapter 1586. Without Gregory, it was inconvenient to go in and out, so Gu Mengmeng did not really stay on Moda Mountains for the entire dry season. Instead, she asked Lucas to send them down the mountain after staying for 7 days. Gu Mengmeng stayed by the stream until the dry season ended, before setting off for the seaside with Elvis, Leah and Oriton. She had once thought that she would never set foot here again after taking the kiss of the ocean. Now that she was back, Gu Mengmeng could not help but feel as though a lifetime had passed. However, the tear of the beast deity was gone. She did not know if the kiss of the beast deity that Wang Xiaoxin had given her was still around. If everything that Wang Xiaoxin had given her was gone, then Gu Mengmeng really did not dare to go into the sea so easily. After all, little shit was not around. If she drowned, no one would be able to collect her corpse. Just as she was hesitating on how to go down, she saw a small head poking out from the surface of the sea. Only half a face was revealed, but it could not hide the clear, starry eyes. Once Gu Mengmeng met that pair of eyes, her lips would unknowingly curve upwards. Waving her hand, Gu Mengmeng shouted, "Little Fei Rui. Great messenger, it's really you." Fei Rui swiftly swam out of the sea and transformed into a human the moment he reached the shore. Fei Rui was very happy to see Gu Mengmeng, but due to the obvious animosity between Elvis and Leah, Fei Rui did not dare to approach Gu Mengmeng. He only stopped 3 steps away and twirled his fingers as he looked at Gu Mengmeng with a smile. His voice was clear and clean, like the ocean illuminated by sunlight, making one feel refreshed. The little fishes along the way told me that they saw you heading this way. I did not believe them. I did not expect it to really be the great messenger. I must tell my sister. If she knows that you are here, she will be very, very happy. Gu Mengmeng looked at the big boy in front of her and her heart warmed up. When she first saw him, he was as pathetic as an abandoned puppy. He had poked half his head out from the well in Saint Nazaire and asked her pitifully if she could let him enter Saint Nazaire's territory. A mere second-level orc actually dared to start a war with Leah in the territory of land beasts, almost causing Leah to block that well to death. That tiny him was now a head taller than Gu Mengmeng. When Gu Mengmeng looked at him, she could no longer lower her head to look at him like she was looking at a child. Only then did he realize that Gu Mengmeng had been very busy these few years and had not seen Fei Rui for a long time. Twice a year, he would bring the sea tribes to deliver salt and food to Saint Nazaire, but the time Gu Mengmeng spent in Saint Nazaire was decreasing, to the extent that she had not seen him for a long time. But even so, he never stopped running between the two places once or twice a year. Because he remembered Gu Mengmeng mentioning that he was the Prince of Bridges and also a tribesman of Saint Nazaire. Gu Mengmeng and the rest set up camp by the seaside and met Melinda and Carter that night. Melinda's signature curly hair made her look even more alluring under the moonlight. Carter had broken through the boundary of rank 3 after mating and was now the only rank 5 beast in the sea. He looked even more formidable than when they first met. The two of them, one tough and one gentle, looked exceptionally compatible when they stood together. Gu Mengmeng could not help but stare in a daze. There was a strange atmosphere between the two of them. They were clearly two independent individuals, but it was as if they were the most complete when they stood together. Chapter 1587. I missed you too. Gu Mengmeng smiled back. You are looking at the scenery, but you don't know that you are also the scenery in someone else's eyes. While Gu Mengmeng was admiring Melinda and Carter's compatibility, in Melinda's eyes, she saw the only two beast kings in this world standing beside a petite female. There was a saying that two tigers cannot share a mountain, but these two beast kings did not seem to be against each other at all. They had restrained their sharpness and only had gentle gazes, which were all focused on the petite human in the middle. As for that petite female, she had a quiet and elegant smile. Her belly was bulging but not bloated, and she exuded a gentle motherly radiance. It was not dazzling, but made one unable to shift their gaze away. Gu Mengmeng noticed that the pearl earrings on Melinda's ears had become a pair. She had accidentally discovered one among the food Fei Rui brought back, while the other, "Your earrings are very beautiful." Gu Mengmeng praised without holding back. Melinda blushed and lowered her head. She glanced at Carter and pouted sweetly. I told him to find a similar one and polish it, but he refused to listen. He stubbornly searched the entire ocean to find this one that looked exactly the same. You don't even know that just because he brought the children to search for pearls, many tribes thought that we were invading them. We fought many ridiculous battles. Children? Gu Mengmeng asked with a smile. Melinda blushed and nodded. Bridges is now the strongest tribe in the ocean world. Because of the name bestowed by the messenger of the beast deity in Carter, a 5th-level beast, holding down the fort, and the fact that we are not restricted by race, many members of the ocean tribes who lost their tribes came to seek shelter. These 3 years, we have also given birth to many children, so... Gu Mengmeng looked at Melinda's blissful smile and felt a sweetness in her heart. When she had first established the Bridges tribe, she had only wanted to give Melinda and Kate an opportunity. It was like planting a seed in the soil. Now that she saw that the seed had grown into a towering tree, she felt gratified. Melinda and Carter invited Gu Mengmeng and her family to the ocean, but Gu Mengmeng rejected them. Even if Elvis and Leah were beast kings now, the bottom of the sea was not a place where they could unleash their powers. She did not want them to worry, nor was she willing to risk the baby in her stomach, so she went straight to the point. The kiss of the ocean has returned to the ocean. Melinda nodded and said, yes, it is coincidentally within Bridges' territory. My brother has already sent someone to Saint Nazaire to deliver the news. Perhaps the messenger is still on the way, but you guys have already arrived. Gu Meng Meng smiled and nodded. Within your territory, that's great, I have something to ask of you. Please instruct me, great emissary, Melinda said. Chapter 1588. Melinda held Gu Mingming's hand and smiled sincerely and warmly. Have you forgotten, great messenger? Bridges is your affiliated tribe. Your words are like the will of God. We will never reject you. Gu Meng Meng shook her head. I am not giving orders as the messenger of the beast deity. I am asking for your help as a friend. Melinda did not understand the difference between the two. Gu Meng Meng was Gu Meng Meng, the messenger of the beast deity and her friend. No matter which identity she used, she was still Gu Meng Meng. As long as Gu Meng Meng said it, Melinda would not refuse. But she did not try to defend herself. She just smiled and nodded. All right, as a friend, I will agree to your request. Gu Mingming's heart relaxed after the official matters were settled. On the first night, Gu Meng Meng stayed at the seaside. Melinda and Carter led the mermaid tribe back to the deep sea. Waves of mermaids started blowing bubbles, which gathered together to form a huge bubble. Countless mermaids worked hard for the entire night and finally completed it the next morning. A huge bubble covered the corals. The seawater was a vacuum and the bubble was filled with oxygen. This allowed Gu Meng Meng and the rest to move around freely in the sea. After preparing all these, Melinda returned to the shore and invited Gu Meng Meng into the sea. Melinda's hospitality was hard to reject. Gu Meng Meng thought that since she was revisiting an old place, it would be a pity if she did not enter the first stop to search for the 7 treasures. Since there was a solution now, Gu Meng Meng was naturally willing to go. Elvis and Leah had never gone into the deep sea before. The last time Gu Meng Meng came, little Shit had accompanied her. The two of them had been waiting by the shore. This was a rare opportunity, so they naturally had to accompany her. Melinda, Carter and Pei Rui each blew a bubble the size of an astronaut's helmet over the heads of Gu Meng Meng and her family. Oratin looked rather pitiful without anyone to take care of him. Without an oxygen mask, he could not go into the water. But it was normal not to bring him along since it was a family trip. So he sat by the shore without any expression. He just watched Gu Meng Meng quietly, completely forgetting about him in her excitement. Anyway, it was not the first time. Oratin should be used to this kind of life. Aren't you going down? Pei Rui's large eyes shone with a clear light as she looked at Oratin timidly. Oratin looked at Gu Meng Meng. Seeing that she had heard Pei Rui's words, he turned around to look at her. When their gazes met, Gu Meng Meng smiled until her eyes curved into crescents. Why not? The seabed is so beautiful, let's go together. Oratin nodded his head expressionlessly, replying with a stiff yes. Pei Rui immediately blew a huge bubble over Oratin's head, then pushed him towards Gu Mingming's side. Chapter 1589. Although they did not spend much time together, Oratin would always inquire about Pei Rui's management in Saint Nazaire every time he returned. If anyone tried to bully Pei Rui, they would receive a stern warning from the big white cat. Due to Oratin's special status, no one in Saint Nazaire dared to provoke him, even if they were of a higher level than him. Moreover, there was a rumor that Gu Meng Meng wanted Oratin to take care of Pei Rui, so Pei Rui's status in Saint Nazaire was upgraded to that of a nameless member of the messenger's family. Of course, Gu Meng Meng did not know about all this. Even if she did, she would just laugh it off. Because she knew better than anyone that Oratin treated Pei Rui well because Pei Rui always brought him fresh and delicious seafood. After the group entered the water, the sea turtles that Melinda had arranged were already ready. The largest sea turtle was as big as a small yacht, with over 20 sea turtles on each side. They were lined up neatly from big to small. The smallest one was only the size of Gu Mingming's palm. It stretched its neck and tilted its head to look at Gu Mengmeng with a face full of curiosity. The back of a sea turtle is wider and it swims steadily. It's suitable for you to sit on. Melinda looked at Gu Mingming's stomach thoughtfully and smiled meaningfully. Gu Mengmeng placed one hand on her stomach and the other on Elvis's neck, allowing him to carry her onto the back of the sea turtle. Sitting steadily, Gu Mengmeng turned around and flashed a big smile at Melinda. You don't say, this is my first time riding a sea turtle. In my memory, only Xuanzang had such treatment when he was retrieving scriptures from the West. Ha, thanks to you, I can also experience the treatment of a senior monk from the Tang dynasty. Tap 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 tap. Bayubiu, seeing that she was having fun, everyone's faces were full of smiles. The sea turtle warship swam steadily but not too slowly. Gu Mengmeng could feel the impact of the water current on her. If not for Elvis supporting her, she would have been washed away. Leo was afraid that she would be uncomfortable if the water current hit her too hard, so he sat in front of her and blocked the impact for her. Heading downwards, they quickly reached the giant space bubble that Melinda had prepared for Gu Mengmeng. The sea turtle stopped outside the bubble and Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng down from the back of the sea turtle, before stepping into the bubble. Melinda poked lightly and the bubble on Gu Mingming's head popped. Elvis, Leah and Oriton did not need anyone's help. They stretched out their claws and popped the bubble. Although it was also the first time for the three males to enter the deep sea, they kept their cool and naturally would not express their curiosity like Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng opened her arms wide and took a deep breath. So the air at the bottom of the ocean smells like this. It's a little salty and has a faint smell of seaweed. I didn't experience this smell the last time I was here because I had the kiss of the beast deity. Luckily, I can make up for it this time. Yeah, if I ever return to the modern world, I will tell those perfume sellers that their sea breeze perfume is trash. Elvis and Leo looked at each other and smiled. She actually wanted to return to the modern world, right? Even so, she still stayed for the sake of the two of them. Chapter 1590. Melinda held on to Gu Mingming's arm and said, if you like it, you can stay here for a few more days. I will ask the mermaids to take turns blowing air into this place. I guarantee that you will have an endless supply of deep sea air. All right. Gu Mengmeng agreed readily. After all, the arrangements for the kiss of the ocean required time and she had to stay here for a few days. Without water, the living corals quickly turned into dead corals. They no longer had the furry feeling they had when they were alive. Instead, they had a metallic luster and were as red as blood, giving off a luxurious vibe. Fortunately, this was the deep sea and it had not been overdeveloped by the modern world. So the corals were not considered precious items. Otherwise, Gu Mingming's heart would ache to see such a waste. The air bubble did not cover a large area, but there were 4 to 5 corals in total. Each of them was as tall as Elvis and had a thickness that 3 people could surround. Gu Mingming's eyes sparkled as she circled the corals. Melinda also followed Gu Mingming's gaze and sized up the corals. She really could not see anything different about them and could only ask, what's wrong with these corals? Is there anything special about them? Gu Mengmeng held onto the corals with one hand and supported her waist with the other. She tilted her head to look at Melinda and asked with a smile, Melinda, do you have many of these corals in your ocean? Melinda didn't understand, so she nodded. Gu Mengmeng rubbed her little hands together and asked again, then, can I break off some of them to make a string of beads? Melinda thought Gu Mengmeng wanted to say something else. Was there a need to discuss such a small matter with her? Chuckling, Melinda held on to Gu Mingming's wrist and said, Great messenger, how many times do I have to say it before you remember? This is your tribe and everything here belongs to you. You can break as many as you want, no one will care. Really? Gu Mengmeng grinned and said, then I won't stand on ceremony. I want to make a few more string of beads, one for myself and one for my daughter, and one for you and Sandy. Me too. Melinda was elated. Previously, Carter had made an earring for her, and later on, Carter had made a second one for her to make a pair. There were many pearls in the deep sea, but she was the only one with such a pair. Now, even if many people did not recognize Carter, they would recognize the earrings on Melinda's ears. Once they saw this pair of earrings, they would know that they were from the messenger's tribe. Now that Gu Mengmeng wanted to make the bracelets and she also had a share, she was naturally very happy. Gu Mengmeng chuckled and said, we're good friends, of course we should share good things. You know what? Red coral is one of the 8 treasures of Buddhism. It can bring good luck to the wearer. Buddhism? Melinda asked curiously. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Just like how you worship the beast deity, Buddhism is another kind of deity that the beast deity worships. I didn't believe it before, but after these few years, I have no choice but to believe it. Gu Mengmeng laughed at herself. The atheist Gu Mengmeng was now worshipped as the beast deity. This was really a resounding slap to her face. Oh! Melinda's eyes lit up. The deity of the beast deity, how impressive was that? Chapter 1591. With his permission, Gu Mengmeng started to instruct Elvis and Bulai to break off the corals, then use their sharp claws to cut them into small pieces, before slowly grinding them into a round shape. Fei Rui's technique of spitting water needles had already been perfected. One by one, he accurately pierced a small hole in the center of each coral bead without any deviation. After the beads were all polished, the problem was how to string them together. On land, they could use vines to make a rope, but this kind of rope could not withstand the corrosion of seawater and would definitely break after a long time in the water. If they were to use hair, it would be too thin, ugly and hard to fix. Just as Gu Mengmeng was in a dilemma, Melinda gave a better suggestion. She said that there was a type of shellfish at the bottom of the sea. The flesh on the inside of the shell was coiled up, and after the flesh was removed, the tendons would be left. They were elastic and flexible, and could withstand the corrosion of seawater. The only problem was that this type of shellfish fed on venom. Usually, it would be used to capture poisonous fishes to eat, so it was highly toxic. Not to mention normal people, even a 5th-level mermaid like Carter would not go near it unless he had no other choice. If it was in the past, this matter was easy to handle. Gu Mengmeng had snake's tear of the beast deity on her, so she was immune to all poisons. A mere little shellfish could not do anything to her. But after Wang Xiaoxin left, all the special buffs on her had been reset. Not to mention poisonous shellfish, even a mosquito might be able to bite her to death. Risking her life for jewelry, Gu Mengmeng weighed the pros and cons and felt that it was not worth it. Leah held onto Gu Mengmeng's shoulders and smiled. Did you forget again? You have 2 omnipotent males. But it's poisonous. Gu Mengmeng shook her head. Leah chuckled. It's been so many years, haven't you gotten used to the beast world style? Females just need to give orders. Males have to think of how to complete them. Gu Mengmeng still shook her head. I don't want my males to risk their lives for a piece of jewelry. Forget it, I'll think about whether there are any other alternatives. Leah sighed and placed both hands on Gu Mengmeng's shoulders. He lowered his head to accommodate her height and looked into her eyes. Have you forgotten who I am? You are Leah. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah in confusion. What else? Leah asked with a smile. Gu Mengmeng blinked her eyes and said, N. Leah sighed and said, all right, one pregnancy makes one foolish for 3 years, seeing that you went offline because of my intelligence, I will kindly remind you. I am the most talented witch doctor in history. Detoxification is my specialty. Ha! Gu Mengmeng tilted her head, looking confused and innocent. Leah smiled as he tapped Gu Mengmeng's little nose. I'll be sad if you don't trust me when you're in trouble. It feels like a hero has no place to use his skills. How miserable. Gu Mengmeng burst out laughing and said, "It's not that exaggerated. I just can't bear to see you and Elvis get hurt." Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's forehead and said, "Your reluctance certainly makes me feel warm, but Gu Mengmeng, I urgently need to show you my abilities. I look forward to you relying on me." Chapter 1592. Yes, my queen. Leah kissed the back of Gu Mengmeng's hand teasingly before turning to leave like an elegant knight. Melinda was afraid that something would happen to Leah, so she asked Carter to personally bring some men to accompany Leah to retrieve the poisonous shellfish meat. Meanwhile, Melinda stayed at the coral dock to prepare a welcoming banquet for Gu Mengmeng. After all, this was the first time the messenger of the beast deity, the true leader of the Bridges tribe, had arrived at the bottom of the ocean after the establishment of the Bridges tribe. Naturally, they had to celebrate and at the same time, show the strength of the tribe to the messenger. They hoped that the Bridges tribe was not only the messenger's tribe, but also the messenger's pride. Gu Mengmeng naturally had to attend the banquet, but the air at the bottom of the ocean was limited and not suitable for a bonfire. So to heighten the atmosphere, Melinda used large seashells to place many luminous pearls around the banquet. They were arranged in picturesque disorder, like a small mountain of luminous pearls. It was extremely extravagant. The entire banquet was filled with the sour stench of extravagance. Gu Mengmeng felt that she was the only one emitting the fragrance of poverty. Sigh, she had been the messenger of the beast deity once, and now she was the beast deity again. Gu Mengmeng felt that she was probably the kind of person who could leave her name in history. Others were at most uncorrupted, but Gu Mengmeng was so uncorrupted that she did not even have any sleeves. Yeah, she must take the coral beads this time. She must give Elvis and Leah one each. She could not be the messenger of the beast deity for nothing. It sounded impressive, but she had suffered so much that she almost lost her life. She would be letting herself down if she did not get some mental damage compensation. Thinking of this, Gu Mengmeng secretly ground her teeth. Elvis moved closer to Gu Mengmeng's ear and blew gently. He pointed at the luminous pearls in the seashells and asked, "Do you want one?" Gu Mengmeng nodded without hesitation. Snakel did not say anything else and went up to grab a handful and stuffed it into Gu Mengmeng's hands. "Here, take it and play with it." Gu Mengmeng instinctively looked around. Seeing that no one had seen them, she hurriedly put the luminous pearls back and said softly, "This does not belong to us. It's not good to take it just like that. Didn't Melinda say that this is your tribe and everything here belongs to you? You can take whatever you want, there's nothing wrong with that." Elvis paused for a moment, then continued, "If anyone has any objections, ask them to look for me. If you're not convinced, you can challenge me. If you win against Leah and me, you can snatch this stupid thing back." Gu Mengmeng was sweating. Elvis meant that if they gave it, they would give it. If not, they would snatch it, right? She poked Elvis and said, "He's a beast king after all. It's not good to bully others like this. There's nothing bad about snatching things from my female." Elvis kissed Gu Mengmeng and grabbed another handful from the shell for her. "Take it if you like it. The rules here are different from your world. Survival of the fittest, survival of the fittest. Power is the rule. Leah and I are powerful enough so we can set the rules and we will listen to you." Gu Mengmeng thought about it and felt that she should inform Melinda. After all, these things were taken out by Melinda and it would not be good for her to keep them without a word. So Gu Mengmeng pulled Melinda and asked, "Can you give me a few of these pearls?" Chapter 1593. Gu Mengmeng followed Melinda's finger and almost fell over. Damn, what a flirtatious walk. A row of mermaids and orcs with different hair colors, with a human body and a fish tail. Their bodies were well-built and smooth, unlike land beasts with bulky muscles, but rather well-proportioned and slender muscles. The mermaid lines connected to the fish tail made one's blood boil and imagination run wild. Gu Mengmeng felt her nose heating up. She quickly pinched her nose and waved her hands at Melinda. Don't. A married woman cannot withstand such temptation. Please spare me. Elvis's face darkened the moment he saw Gu Mengmeng pinching her nose. The reason was simple. She would only do this when she was about to have a nosebleed. And she would only have a nosebleed when she was tempted. Even if he or Leah stripped her naked, she would not have a nosebleed. She would only have such a reaction when he and Bulai were entangled together in some ambiguous scene. So, this row of fish, haha, looks like it would be delicious if it was roasted. Gu Mengmeng had been glancing at Elvis the moment Melinda said she wanted to give Gu Mengmeng men. Naturally, she did not miss the murderous look in his eyes. She cupped Elvis's face with both hands and smiled. Hubby, calm down. Look at my pregnant belly. Why would I have such thoughts? Don't worry, I only want the items. I don't want any of them. Really? Elvis lowered his eyes and stared at Gu Mengmeng coldly. Gu Mengmeng nodded firmly. No. Definitely not. Elvis thought about it and snorted. You also said you don't want Leah. You also said you don't want Snake. You also said you weren't interested in that bird man a while ago. Gu Mengmeng felt that she had indeed been slapping herself in the face. She held her cheeks with both hands and looked up at Elvis. Hubby, my face hurts. Elvis was flushed by her cuteness and his lips could not help but curl up. He removed her little hands and pinched her chubby little face due to her pregnancy. If you know your face hurts, then don't do it again. Yeah, I won't do it anymore. Gu Mengmeng promised. Elvis then kissed Gu Mengmeng in satisfaction. Then, he caressed Gu Mengmeng's tummy gently. After you give birth to a daughter, Leah and I will definitely make it up to you. It was not an exaggeration to say that Gu Mengmeng's legs immediately gave way when Elvis said that. She wasn't the one who wanted a mermaid to be her new lover. She was innocent. She was framed by Melinda. Sob. I feel so wronged, but I can't explain myself. Seeing how Gu Nanbao was biting her handkerchief pitifully, Elvis's mood finally improved. He looked at the mermaid coldly and snorted without saying a word. He walked slowly to the main seat and sat down steadily. Carrying Gu Mengmeng in his arms, he sat in the most comfortable position for her to sit on as a human-skin thermostatic chair. Intentionally or unintentionally, he played with Gu Mengmeng's long hair. That lazy and casual look made him look like King Zhou of Shang who was carrying Daji to court. Everything was ready. Melinda had no intention of waiting for Kate and Leah. After all, females were respected in the beast world. As long as she and Gu Mengmeng were present, the banquet could begin. The first performance was, of all things, that row of mermaids performing a dance. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.